Hello and welcome to BYJU'S IAS. Let's get started with our daily quiz and look at question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding the National Security Act. But what is the context? This is today's The Hindu newspaper. There is a petition in the Supreme Court. The petition calls that we should invoke NSA, the National Security Act, against those who hoard or black market COVID-19 essentials, including drugs and equipments. Let's look at the question. Consider the following statements. Number 1, the NSA is a preventive detention law that empowers only the center to detain a person to prevent him from acting in any manner prejudicial to national security. Number 2, under NSA, a person could be kept in the dark about the reasons for his arrest for up to 5 days. Which of the above statements is or are correct? Pause this video and let me know in the comment section what is the right answer. NSA, National Security Act, is a preventive detention law. And this law empowers not only the center but also the states to detain somebody. That means statement number 1 is incorrect. We have Article 22 of the Constitution, which is a fundamental right. That means as soon as an individual is arrested, one of the fundamental rights available to this individual is that this person should be told the reason why he or she is being arrested. But somebody booked under a preventive detention law, for example, a National Security Act, a person may not be told the reasons of his arrest for up to 5 days. In fact, in exceptional circumstances, this 5-day can also be 10 days. That means in exceptional circumstances, for 10 days, arrested person may not be told the reasons for his arrest. That means statement 2 is correct. Only 2B is the right answer. And somebody booked under NSA, this arrested person is not entitled to any legal aid as well. Now let's look at question number 2. It is related to the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act of 2013. What is the context? This is a beautiful column written by Brinda Karath. This is related to the Tarun Tejpal case. Tarun Tejpal, the founder of the Tehelka magazine, he was accused of raping his colleague. But a Goa court acquitted Tarun Tejpal in this rape case. And Brinda Karath is writing that this judgment must not be allowed to become a precedent in derailing the workplace safety of women. Now let's look at a question. What is this sexual harassment of women at workplace? Basically, if there is a male boss, for example, can be any other employee as well, but let's assume he's a male boss and he's demanding sexual favors from his colleague, or this male boss is showing pornography to this female employee, or he's trying to establish a physical contact or making physical advances towards this woman. All of this is sexual harassment. But not just this. Apart from that, this particular male boss may also promise preferential treatment to this employee, so that because of this promise, this employee can give sexual favors to this male boss. Or maybe this male boss is humiliating this employee, so that out of this humiliation, sexual favors may be granted to this male boss. Or maybe this male boss is threatening this colleague about her present or future employment. I will terminate you from the services and I will ensure that you won't get a job later on. All these are circumstances that amount to sexual harassment according to this law passed in the year 2013. So D, all of the above, is the right answer. And you would know that this law was passed in the year 2013 and it is broadly based on the Vishaka judgment of the Supreme Court, Vishaka guidelines of 1997. Now let's look at question number 3. Consider the following statements. Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency is a public sector entity under the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy. IREDA reported an all-time high annual profit before tax in 2020-21. IREDA has been notified as a public financial institution as well as a non-banking financial company. Which of the above statements is or are correct? What is the context? This is today's PIB news. IREDA registers record profit in COVID year. PBT, profit before tax, jumps by 136%, which is an all-time high. IREDA is basically a mini Ratna, Government of India enterprise, and it is engaged in promoting, extending financial assistance for projects related to new and renewable energy. For example, to give financial support to projects, for example, for generating electricity through new and renewable energy. That is the mandate of IREDA. So statement 1 is correct, statement 2 is correct, statement 3 is also correct because it has been notified as a public financial institution under the Companies Act, as well as notified as a non-banking financial company under Reserve Bank of India. So all these statements are correct. D is the right answer. It is this statement too which might have confused you, because during COVID, when others are struggling for revenue, how can this organization, this mini Ratna, report an all-time high annual profit before tax? But this statement is correct. That is why this question has been displayed. Now let's look at question number 4. Camp David Accord is related to which of the following countries? It's related to A, Israel and Egypt. The year was 1978 when these two countries came together under the patronage of the United States of America, and this Camp David Accord was signed. And this led to the Egypt and Israel peace treaty in the year 1979, which was remarkable at that point in time because this was the first time an Arab country was trying to formalize and streamline their relationship with Israel. And what is the context? Israeli and Egyptian officials meet in effort to solidify Gaza truce. Now let's look at a previous year's question paper, Prelims 2017. Which of the following are not necessarily the consequences of the proclamation of the president's rule in a state under Article 356 of the Constitution? As soon as the president's rule is imposed in a state, the first casualty, the immediate casualty, is the Council of Ministers headed by the Chief Minister. They are dismissed. So removal of the Council of Ministers in the state is correct. But State Legislative Assembly is not immediately dissolved. State Legislative Assembly is kept under suspended animation. The Supreme Court in S.R. Bommai case has said that unless and until both houses of the Indian Parliament pass a resolution by simple majority approving this president's rule, till that time you should not dissolve, or the governor should not dissolve the Legislative Assembly. So dissolution of Legislative Assembly is not necessarily the consequence of a president's rule in a state. So statement 1 is incorrect. Statement 3 is also incorrect because president's rule has no impact on the local bodies. 1 and 3 is wrong. Only 2 is correct. But the question is asking which of the following are not necessarily the consequences of the proclamation of president's rule in a state. 1 and 3. B is the right answer. Now let's look at the fact of the day, crime in India by National Crime Records Bureau. This Crime in India is the oldest and most prestigious publication which is brought about by National Crime Records Bureau. The first edition of Crime in India pertains to the year 1953, and the latest edition, the latest report, pertains to the year 2019. Data related to the crimes is collected. Collected by whom? First by the State's Crime Records Bureau. State Crime Records Bureau gets this data from the District Crime Records Bureau, and then this data is given to the National Crime Records Bureau at the end of every calendar year. This can be an important statement for your prelims examination. One interesting thing, this data is also collected from mega cities. Now, which are these mega cities? Mega cities whose population is 10 lakhs or more. This data from these mega cities is also collected separately. That's a very important statement, can be relevant for your prelims examination. That is it from our daily quiz. Thank you for being with us. Have a great evening.